Welcome back to another exciting video in which we'll talk about how farming will be in the future. Is the development of artificial intelligence in farming the best or worst innovation for the environment? Or is the future of farming with robots a nightmare or a utopia? So stay tuned, as it will be very informative and interesting. Let's start. Firstly, which world would you want to have your food come from? Imagine this: under a blackened sky that smells of pollution, colossal gas-powered autonomous robots bulldoze across acres of homogeneous farmland. No animals are in sight, and all the trees have been felled. Overuse of pesticides is a result of less human field maintenance. Although robots produce enormous amounts of food to feed our expanding population, doing so comes at a price in terms of the environment. Or consider a different scenario. Smaller robots labor around the trees, streams, and wildlife of the natural terrain, as they produce mosaic areas of numerous other crops. Renewable energy sources such as the sun, wind, or water are used to power them. Agrochemicals are no longer necessary since robots balance the environment, preventing pests and superweed emergencies. It's like a modern-day Garden of Eden with clear skies, lush pastures, and fresh air. Up next, where do these hypothetical futures come from? Thomas Daum, an agricultural economist at the University of Hohenheim who focuses on food security and sustainable farming in nations like Bangladesh and Uganda, has created these two hypothetical futures to debate how the agricultural technological revolution, often known as AG 4.0, will influence our future. He wrote a think piece in July in the journal Trends in Ecology and Evolution that presented two alternate scenarios of an ecological utopia or dystopia. Daum, who is concerned that the disruptive impacts that agricultural technology is having on the environment aren't receiving enough attention, asserts that today's farming has to change. Without a change in how we grow food, it will be impossible to implement the climate change mitigation policies described in the Paris Agreement. He asserts that if you don't alter agriculture, we will still miss those benchmarks even if you change all the other sectors. Next, how are large-scale agricultural methods changing the ecosystem? Large-scale agricultural methods are already altering the ecosystem, even in a world without enormous farm robots. According to Emily Reisman, a human environment geographer at the University of Buffalo, agriculture fundamentally implies an intentional modification of the ecosystem of a particular region. For example, to improve food production, we clear the land, destroy the soil, and spray chemicals to fight pests and diseases. It only worsens when we include agricultural technologies already in use. Industrialized farming relies heavily on regulated settings, since equipment like tractors, harvesters, and crop monitoring drones generally need them to operate effectively. This may entail planting a monoculture on the perfectly flat fields year after year with minimal fluctuation in growth, everything ripening at the same time, and the regular use of herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides to maintain uniformity. According to Patrick Bauer, a sustainable food system scientist at the University of Rhode Island, standardization results from the need to mechanize agriculture. He claims that this is farming, the agroecosystem, and the entire growing process is tailored to the requirements of the machine. The loss of biodiversity, the variety of plant and animal life required to maintain ecological equilibrium, has been significantly exacerbated by the necessary environmental constancy for industrialized agriculture. By keeping carbon in the soil rather than in the air and ensuring that there are insects to pollinate crops and natural predators to reduce the prevalence of pests, biodiversity safeguards water quality, moderating global temperatures. However, the diversity of insect, microbial, plant, and animal life is drastically reduced by machines, according to Bauer, because so much must be removed for them to function at their best. Up next, why do humans require machinery to make food? It's an economic problem. Agriculture needs an increasing amount of labor to keep up with the demands of a growing population. Food is also considerably less expensive than it once was, which puts pressure on farmers to increase output while reducing profit. As a result, farmers may increasingly rely on technology to fill the gap if field laborers earn less money and quit the business for better paying alternatives. It is challenging to balance maintaining the environment and the rising demand for food. Dow sees an exceptional opportunity for agricultural advances to help humanity adapt to the changing climate and restore biodiversity rather than endanger it due to the advent of artificial intelligence and autonomous gadgets. He wonders if some of these trends that have harmed the farming industry could not be reversed. Daum contends in his article that rather than changing the environment to accommodate technology, we should program technology. Robots that are smart and controlled by machine learning may be better suited to operate in biologically diverse, natural environments because they can imitate people's flexible thinking to evaluate their surroundings and make decisions. So, how can robots be helpful in the food industry? In the food industry, robots are already making headway. They are currently picking strawberries, harvesting lettuce, pollinating flowers, and even milking cows. In addition, robots can undertake environmentally favorable chores that would be unprofitable if done by humans, such as manual weeding, reducing the need for chemical spraying because they are more productive. Hedgerows are natural walls made of untamed shrubs or trees planted along the borders of farms. They increase biodiversity by acting as substitute habitats for native plants, insects, and wildlife. According to Daum, they could also assist with the labor-intensive upkeep of hedgerows. Furthermore, intelligent robots may be better adapted to intercropping or growing various crops in the same field, a sustainable farming technique that promotes soil health and reduces pests, but is expensive and inefficient to implement with present technology. Up next, what challenges will make robots efficient in the food industry? However, introducing robots that can perform these tasks is not without its difficulties. For example, they would need to be even smarter than the present generation of robots that pick strawberries and lettuce, which means it would cost more to develop them. Reisman also notes that the resources needed to create and maintain these machines pollute the environment, mining minerals like copper and lithium to make them, energy for intelligent systems that rely on cloud storage, and a method of disposing of the robots since they are likely to have finite lifespans. Coming right up, is the future of farming with robots a nightmare or a utopia? Reisman asserts that Daum's imagined ecological utopia might become a catastrophe for human workers. Regarding the labor viewpoint and how people have purposeful, fulfilling, well-paid work in a world of agricultural robots, she says, "It's harder for me to imagine the utopia. Agroecologists have demonstrated that small-scale farms with plenty of human workers may be both highly productive and biodiverse, so at worst, robotic innovation may simply not be required. At worst, it might worsen socio-economic issues currently in farming and tech-related industries, such as exploitative mining methods, a worldwide underclass of employees who design AI algorithms under unjust working conditions, and the eviction of workers who can't find a job." Daum's study employed science fiction narrative as a literary device to examine the boundaries of what is conceivable, which was a little unusual for a literary magazine, and several of his colleagues valued this strategy as a means of including the public in a discussion about what the future might entail. The possibility of reaching this eco-utopian future exists, according to Bauer. "I appreciated the paper since it is a succinct, easy-to-understand distillation of the issues involved." Lastly, how is science fiction a powerful tool? Ira Bennett, a former chemist, now a social scientist at Arizona State University, employs a similar strategy to investigate emerging technologies outside the lab. He designs public assessment workshops that ask participants to weigh difficult choices regarding resource allocation, governance, and policy in the context of futuristic scenarios. He adds that science fiction is an approachable way to include different people in these conversations, including environmentalists, farmers and farm workers, robotics manufacturers, tech developers, and anyone who consumes food. Science fiction is a potent tool because there's very little about our future that has not been explored, he says. Bennett believes that figuring out what kind of future people desire is the ultimate purpose of this effort. Bennett acknowledges that the paper is a good beginning, but he feels that there isn't a clear plan for what should come next. It will probably only be read by academics because it was published in an academic journal. They might have a different conception of utopia than those working in the sector. The utopia looks like the machine that does all the farming for you and does it at a cost per bushel that allows you to make more money, he adds. If you're a farmer trying to operate 10,000 acres of wheat, Bennett contends that the idyllic idea of smaller robots symbiotically caring for their environment is simply unfeasible in nations where large-scale farming is the norm, such as the US and Argentina. However, Daum emphasizes that some aspects of his idealistic world are still conceivable, even for industrialized farms that would require enormous robots to maintain high yields. According to him, the most crucial thing is that we pay attention to farming technologies and policies right now, lest we unintentionally lapse into his imagined nightmarish society. We are at a turning point. A significant chance exists to improve farming practices. According to Daum, societies ought to have a say in the kind of future we seek. And this is all from today's video. Will you be okay with the food coming from AI farms? How do you think food will be made in the future? And how will robots change the world? Share your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel to stay updated and informed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.